The day in the life of a volunteer in Malawi doesn't look like a luxury safari. It's early mornings, simple routines, with unpredictable days. My mornings usually started with the basics of getting ready for our morning drive, and I was always curious as to what animals we would spot or even track. I also noticed a great difference with myself in the morning. At home, I'd always hit the snooze on my alarm and not wanting to get ready for work. In Malawi, however, I was always up an hour early before our drive, having breakfast and getting the equipment ready. I do think when you're passionate about something, you will change yourself for it. Most days began with a surprisingly smooth ride in the bush. Although we had every opportunity to take photos of the wildlife, I reminded myself this wasn't a sightseeing safari. We were on our way to monitor wildlife, record data, and support real conservation work and effort. I found the trust on the work/volunteering website. However, looking back, I can't remember exactly where I found them. However, I am just grateful that I took the opportunity to go to Malawi. Some other days included setting up camera traps, using radio telemetry to track certain animals for the day. There were some repetitive tasks, such as logging observed data, tracking any certain animal that was on the morning's agenda. But here's the twist. I was not bored of it. Compared to jobs I've worked where it was repetitive and boring, nature does not provide that. We may have done the same tasks, but the outcome was always different. There were new challenges faced each time, whether that was driving in circles trying to find a lioness, or scouting the floodplains to find a male cheetah. It was all equally fascinating and capturing. Nothing was staged, every animal we saw was in its natural habitat, and every observation felt like a genuine and new discovery every day. Seeing wildlife this way felt totally different from a safari. There was no script, no guarantee of what animals you would see. Some days we saw very little, and other days gave us some moments I'll never forget. One being that we saw a small herd of elephants in the bush. We stopped, did our observations, then we carried on to our destination for a tea break. And then, when we were just about to settle down to have our tea, we kept seeing more and more elephants coming through the trees and crossing the small river, heading towards the Shiri River. Who would have thought that sitting in the vehicle for 4 hours would be so tiring? During our break, I would either help out with inputting the data we collected on the day, analyse previous camera trap footage that needed to be done, or I would try and catch it with my diary. Most of the time, however, because it was so hot, I would just relax in our room to keep cool and sometimes have a nap. However, during this time, we would also play games and we would just reflect on the morning drive as well as a team. And it just felt like I created genuine bonds between the other volunteers as well as the staff with LWT. And I would definitely recommend going with the charity if you are someone who wants to work in wildlife and conservation, as you just get a very meaningful experience compared to if you're just going to go on a safari and just look at wildlife. You actually get to be in the midst and in the thick of doing conservation work. And so at the end of our break in the morning, our afternoon would be so varied compared to each day. And that was the general feel of the type of work that we did. You may have a plan, but you also have to be willing to adapt and change. There were some days where we were out for 6 or 7 hours in the morning, so we'd have a later drive, making them into a night drive as well. Other days, there were other things that had to be done, or other things were going on, from attending a park manager meeting, which was something I found really interesting to get to know and understand how a wildlife park is run, not just from a conservation perspective, but from management to security and even tourism. And that's something that we do tend to forget as tourists or as volunteers, that this park is managed by a variety of different people. And then there's also times where we're going on the call out on the day off in the evening. Even though this was one of the coolest and yet dangerous things to set up for. At the end of our very busy days and very productive days, the evenings are always slow and grounding moments for all of us. Most of the time, we got to watch the sunset in different locations by the river, in the bush, and it was a reminder to myself on why I was there, but to also appreciate the present moment. I am someone who always worries about the future, and I don't always live in the moment. I don't know if you are like this, but for me, I get very frustrated when I can't do that. As when something is over, I feel like I haven't appreciated it enough, and I wish I appreciated it in that moment. So watching the sunset or having sundowns made me appreciate what we had done that day, the people I was with, and for my mind to just slow down and to take a break from everything that has happened, whether that is what we did that day or what was going on around the world. I just was able to slow down and appreciate where I was in that moment. And then after our sunset watch, we would have a lot of meaningful conversations by the fire, which was something that I really enjoyed. Getting to know people on a more deeper level is something that I really enjoy. And I'm not someone who likes just general chit chat. I prefer to get to know someone on a deeper level, whether that is their life, what they're doing, why they even chose to come here. And it was great moments that we shared, from sharing meals with each other to sharing our favorite moments of the day, as well as just sharing our general life experiences. And being able to learn from each other is something that I do appreciate as well. And also in the quiet moments when you had time to reflect on the day by myself, it became more meaningful as the work itself. Volunteering in Malawi was something I didn't imagine when I arrived. Even though each day brought new challenges, I was never exhausted by the end of the day. And in those ordinary, imperfect days, I found some of the most authentic experience I've had in my life. And so I just want to say thank you for watching this video. It is something completely different to what I've done before. And if you want to know what I got up to during my time in Malawi, you can follow my Instagram down below, where I shared a lot of experiences and sightseeings during my time as a volunteer. And if you want to see more, please hit the subscribe button, as it will mean a lot. And I'll see you in the next video.